Right. Sorry that I'm late. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I suppose I explained it's going to be at a tilted angle, folks. I'm sorry. That's just going to be what it is. Except it's going to bug me. Apologies to all. I really hate this thing sometimes. Screw it. Okay, so to explain the name on the live stream, next week there will not be a live stream because I will be on vacation all week, which actually means I'm working flat out the rest of this week to get everything I need done. Part of the reason why I'm slightly late is I lost track of time while working on editing the bisexual representation video, which is going up on Friday. Then after I do that, I have to work on Sunday's video. Wednesday next week is already set, but I got a lot of work to do on Mondays. Can't even remember what I have set for Friday next week. I think I've shot it. I don't know. I'm losing track of time. There's not enough of it. Hi, everybody. I made it back from California a couple days ago. Well, I'm glad you made it home all right. Well, welcome back, Meg. It's nice to have you here. Hair looks great. Hair looks like a hot mess. Like I after this is done, I need a shower. Irish coffee water. That is not. You'll notice there's ice cubes in there. You know, just saying. I mean, I know iced coffee is a thing, but your hair is always so pretty. I'll just accept the compliment and move on from there. I recently started watching Gotham after my brother binge watched all 5 seasons. I am almost on season 2. I really enjoyed the crime drama aspect and the gritty realism. I know the show will change a little bit. If your hook in initially to Gotham is the gritty realism, I'm not going to say you won't enjoy what's coming after. It depends on your taste, but that's gonna shift as time goes on. How's your week been? It's a week. So that oh god, that Cats trailer was the glorious train wreck I anticipated it to be. I cannot wait for it. That trailer, holy crap. Okay, first of all, I'm one of those people who just doesn't like cats. I don't mean the animal, I mean the show. God, someone's gonna take that as a clip out of context. But anyways, I don't like the show, Cats. I never have. I don't particularly even like the songs. I really don't like it, like, as a visual presentation. Like, I understand what is good about it on stage, but, like, seeing that trailer for that film, it added a whole uncanny valley aspect to it because it's all being done CGI, and I'm like, this is even more unsettling than it already was, which I didn't think was possible. Jon Favreau would have shown actual cats. I'm not gonna like. I ranted out Lion King. I don't need to beat up Jon Favreau specifically. I've no doubt that he was working on very clear directives on what Disney wanted this movie to be. Hope you have a wonderful time on holiday. Thank you very much. Cats, nightmare fuel for the next generation. Yikes. Yeah, and actually, it's worth saying about Favreau real quick. Except for when he goes independent, which he has done every now and then, when he does studio work, he's a bit of a gun for hire. He delivers what a studio has asked him to deliver. I think he's a good director. I wouldn't call him a visionary. He's not someone who... He's one of those directors who doesn't elevate material. He's going to take the script and, the directors from the studio and deliver that at a high level. But he's not going to metamorphose it into something. Favreau... in a ballpark with, like, Ron Howard on that same level. And this is not to decry either of them. That you can, like, the whole idea of being a director for hire is, you know, often maligned, but like you can do that and be very good at your craft. That's not a knock. Where are you going on vacation? That it's a family vacation, so that is personal. I'm fairly protective about, you know, family details, especially when it comes to my kids. So you'll forgive me not answering that. The way I see it, 2D animation gives artists more creative freedom that you can't pull off with CGI. I used to believe that. I'm not sure that's true anymore because we've hit a point where there isn't a standardized look for CGI anymore. I felt like there was for a while, but I do feel like at this point, like you look at something from, say, like, I don't love these films, but you look at the Hotel Transylvania movies, Genndy Tartakovsky managed to take his style and his approach to physicality, which is very much rooted in 2D animation, and recreate it and capture everything that he does in 3D. So I don't think CGI is inherently restricting to the artistic possibilities. I think more often than not, they feel like if they achieve a certain level of realism that they don't have to be artistic with it. I think there's a trap there, but I don't think it's actually inherent to CGI animation as a medium. Personally, I don't understand why Cats had to be CGI. The show had some of the best costuming on stage for one very simple reason. They wanted really big name actors, and really big name actors don't want to sit through 8 hours of makeup. They never would have gotten Judi Dench. They never would have gotten Ian McKellen. They probably wouldn't have gotten Idris Elba. They wouldn't have gotten Taylor Swift. And whether or not you think these are good gets, you know, the number of like big name actors willing to sit in a makeup chair for hours, pretty small. But put a bunch of dots on their face, have them just prance around a green screen set, sure, they'll do that. I googled the Harley Quinn trailer, see what comes up. Yeah, the Harley Quinn trailer, it could be fun. Like, I forget the format. I can't remember if it's going to be like short, like 15-minute episodes or something. I don't know if I'm misremembering that. If that is what it is, like, I'm more interested in it then than if they're trying to like build big narratives out of it. Poor Zoe Saldana has done some time in the makeup chair between Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, she's been on both sides of that equation. What's up? Stuff, I guess. Cats just isn't for a movie audience. The thing is, I could never figure out what theater audience Cats was for either. But then again, like, maybe I'm just a weirdo there. Oh my God, Elba, all CGI'd up. Then in that suit, Cat Bond. Look, I won't lie. Even with the Uncanny Valley thing, Elba looked kind of, yeah. Did you catch any of the Big Finish live stream this last weekend? I popped onto it briefly. I think it was doing spare parts when I popped on there. I was too busy with other stuff. But yeah, I did catch a little of it. How did you like Series 5 of Black Mirror as a whole compared to the others? See, that's a weird question for me because I've never really judged Black Mirror on a series-by-series basis because every episode is so self-contained. I take them completely as their own thing. I've never really, like, and even in my head, it's not like I don't remember what episodes were what series. I actually do remember, but like, I still don't, I don't know. My brain won't categorize them that way, I guess. Thoughts on the recent 007 news? Oh, you mean the fact that designation, not the character of James Bond, but that 00 designation is going to be going to a black woman? Like, fine. I mean, like, it's one of those things where I really hate clickbait headline titles for videos or articles because the clickbait headline is James Bond will be a black woman, which is not what's going on. And the other thing is I haven't been following this super close because, like, the production on the James Bond movies have been kind of a mess lately, this one particularly. So I got a headache trying to keep up with it. So I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but I see people also acting like going forward, all future films are going to have this woman in the role. I don't think that's been confirmed. I think it's just this film, the 00 rank, the 007 designation goes to this woman, but James Bond is also still there. And in my mind, like, we'll see how it turns out, A, and then B, what they do with it in the future. But, like, that as a framing, that's totally fine. Like, you realize 007 is not his name. Like, it's just a spy designation. And if he dies or retires, somebody else is going to get it. That's a perfectly viable narrative. Somebody else taking on that designation, but he's still around in some fashion. I'm curious to see how that ends up being. I'm paranoid because I really hated Spectre. I hated it. What is your opinion of Timothy Dalton as Bond? Moment of honesty, I haven't seen all of either of his Bond films. I mean, I've never not liked Timothy Dalton in anything I've seen him in, so I'll probably still like him, but, like, I haven't seen those movies. I could never get into James Bond. He's just too much of a sexist ass for me to get into him. I mean, I think it just has a lot to do with sort of where you are when you first start experiencing him. Because I came into James Bond with GoldenEye, so that came out, what, 95? I would have been 13. Like, however I identify now, at 13, you know, even with a little bit of early gender fluctuations, 13, I was very much a boy. I was a 13-year-old boy. So, yeah, James Bond had an appeal to me there. Dream doctor and companion pairing that never happened. I'd really like to see Ace with Capaldi. I read the books, and to be honest, he was kind of a sexist ass in the books. Well, of course he was. I mean, that's the thing, like, with something like James Bond, first of all, you do have to, I mean, as the franchise has continued, you can make an argument that they should be evolving with the times, but certainly for when it was written and what it was meant to be, there is definitely a degree of, you know, thing of its time, but also with a character like that and what he was meant to embody, because James Bond as a character represented this weird ideal of British influence and colonialization to a certain degree, filtered through this lens of espionage as he jaunts around the world, dropping into these countries to deal with the bad people and fix the problems that already exist in these nations. It was very much a national identity fantasy filtered through this man. And it was a masculine national identity fantasy. So with a character like that, how he treats women, at the very least at his initial inception, that's a feature, not a bug. You know, whatever your own feelings about it might be. How many illegitimate children do you think Bond has? Here's something I wish Bond would do. Or honestly, so many films in general. Just take a second and have him grab a condom. Like, seriously. It takes one shot, 2 seconds. I really wish that we just, like, would normalize safe sex practices in these things. Because, there's no reason not to. There's like, oh, it breaks up the moment. Like, okay, it doesn't break up the moment in real life all that much anyways. But in a film, like, just, you're not going to show the full sex scene anyway. Just show a hand going for a drawer or a pocket or whatever. Condom, boom. Like, I remember this super bothered me when I watched Orphan Black. Because I think it's actually in the very first episode. Oh boy, how do we even explain Orphan Black? Okay, for the purposes of what I'm about to talk about, all you need to know is there's a whole bunch of women who look exactly the same. They're clones, but... So one of them goes into this home that another one was in, and she's she's broken in, but she covers herself by pretending to be this other woman who looks just like her coming out of the shower. And this guy has come in there who is obviously the lover, and pretending to be this other woman, she then has sex with him. Now, what really bothered me about that scene, because I get that she's like trying to not give away that she's not who he thinks she is, but what super bothered me about that scene is she starts the scene naked. So she has no pockets, and he just strips down and they go at it right there on the counter. And I mean, I think it was Sci-Fi Channel, but like, it's edited in such a way that there is very clearly no time or pause made to get a condom. I'm like, you don't know this guy. What are you doing? That really ticked me off because it was played off as, you know, fun or sexy. I'm like, no, come on. Like, I'd like to see it in general just become normalized getting a condom, but to see a scene like that where there's explicitly no freaking way there could have been one, that ticked me off. I don't hold that against Bond so much, again, unless we're talking like last decade or so, but, or maybe from the 90s on. But, you know, prior to that, I'm like, it just is what it is. Dad mode engaged. What did I just drop in on? Safe sex chat. That apparently. Like, there's a couple things that I would love to see normalized in terms of depictions of sexual scenes between characters. I would love to see safe sex normalized, and I would love to see consent normalized. Because, again, much like safe sex, how did we get on this topic? I don't know, I'm running with it. Much like with safe sex, there's this whole notion that, oh, you can't get explicit consent because it kills the moment. Like, no. If you properly trust your partner and like you have a level of communication at all, and sometimes you can establish that quickly, then you can make getting consent sexy. Consent is sexy and mandatory. Daleks of the safe sex. Yes. You're more engaging than my sex ed teacher. I was really lucky. When I was in high school, I didn't have to take health class because I had the ability to test out of it. I was given a test like, here, like, you need to prove that you know these things about sexuality and anatomy and birth control, etc. I'm like, and I took the test and I knew the stuff. I didn't have to take the class. And stop being afraid of nipples. Holy cow, yes. Like, what the... and I'm also... Boy, this... I was debating whether or not... screw it, I'll just say it. Like, the thing is, I don't... Because I have chest development a bit now, since I went on the testosterone blockers, I don't know if, like, Facebook or Instagram would consider my nipples to be offensive. I mean, like, if I'm in full femme presenting, like, full makeup, that's, like, okay. But, like, if I'm not, and, like, there's distinct curvature there at this point, would I be censored? I don't know. I don't really want to test it, but, I've wondered. Oh man, there's so many comments being held for review just because we're talking about sex. Oh God, this thing's gonna get demonetized. I'm accepting that already. I can't talk about it, it's confidential. Anyway, how's your sex life? Trans nipples are forbidden, sadly. Well, see, the thing, like, I know that, like, if I identified as a trans woman, yeah, no, they would be. But, like, I'm in that weird middle gray area. So, I don't know. Excuse me. Pating versus Absorbaloff for the Series 12 finale. Oy. Hold on. I'm gonna move that slightly because every time I was like nudging this, the whole camera was shaking. If your nipples are in gray areas, go see a doctor. Did you have time to catch the Picard trailer? I did. Like, okay. Like, the whole project just strikes me as so weird. I don't really know what to think of it. Oh, thank you, Meg. Much appreciated. So, safe sex isn't normalized in all schools in the U.S., let alone in media, because God forbid we give women the idea that sex is fun and safe. Well, oh God, yeah, we start because like I'm very fortunate at that. Like, I had the ability to test out of sex ed, but the goal of the sex ed at my high school was to actually be informative about this stuff. And I tested out not because I got a religious exemption. I tested out because I already knew what they were going to teach me, which was actually pretty thorough. The stuff on that test that I had to pass. Star Trek set after Nemesis is a blessing, but I'm worried what they'll do with it. I'd say that's fair. It is nice to finally have the timeline move forward, like, for crying out loud. Like, especially, and I still haven't watched Discovery, but especially if they're gonna design Discovery the way they do and claim it's pre-original series. Like, no, none of this lines up visually, technologically. So, like, just move the thing forward. I hate that some schools still only teach abstinence. Oh, yeah. Because horniness will beat out any teachings they do in school. Yeah. Oh, man. The abstinence only thing is like, that's like, we're in the weeds on this at this point. The abstinence only thing is just so bizarre to me. Especially just like because the internet exists like at all. So I don't know what you think you're protecting kids from, but they're gonna find everything that you are trying to keep them from. But at the same time, if they're gonna find out about this stuff anyway, don't you want them to be told by someone who knows what the hell they're talking about? Instead of getting no information and being able to look up porn and using that as a substitute for information. Like, oh, God. And that, like, I get it. Because as a parent, like, I'm not looking forward to these conversations with my daughter. But, like, it's part of the gig. Or it should be, I think. Sex ed should be taught by adult movie stars. Maybe. Thoughts on the rumor of the possibility of Series 12 doing a story based on Frankenstein, despite the fact Big Finish already did that story already. Okay. I have Cybermen will remove sex. I have no specific thoughts on that general concept, but what I will say is I have absolutely no issue with the show redoing stories that were done in Big Finish. They've done it already. Dalek was based directly off a Big Finish story. World Enough in Time took a lot of inspiration from Spare Parts, and they're great. And like I know the people who actually listen to Big Finish get annoyed with like, but why do your own thing and you're making it so, you know, people won't discover this. But I'm like, look, it's good material and way more people watch the show than listen to the audios. I don't want them to start just doing nothing but adapting audios, but like once a series, once in a blue moon, which is basically what it is, yeah, I consider it fair game. I recently listened to Jubilee. Now I want to listen to Holy Terror. Holy Terror is still my favorite. And there's really good stuff on Big Finish. I love the Holy Terror though. Like it hits all my buttons. in the best way. The worst is how schools and society will preach abstinence, but then crap on people who are asexual and think they're weird for not liking sex being repulsed. Well, yeah. It's not because you're never supposed to have sex. It's because you're supposed to have sex within the confinements of this rigidly defined institution. That results in the next generation of the population. It's all very weird. How did this chat become a sex class? I honestly don't. I think we got here starting from James Bond, and somehow we ended up here. Yeah. Would the 50th have been better if it was Derek Jacobi's War Master versus John Hurt's War Doctor? I don't know if it'd be better. It is a shame they didn't do that. I wish that existed. We have a lot of buy rep going on here. Awesome! You people will hopefully be happy come Friday. I hope so. Just label the live stream as educational. That's still going to get me banned by parent groups. Hold on, let me jump. I got to jump over to the Discord and see what I've got over there. Let's see. Did you see the trailer for DuckTales Season 2? I did not. Did you see the His Dark Materials trailer? I did. Looked kind of interesting, but I've never read those books, so my interest is just kind of, all right. I'll do one more off here, and then I'll come back to the chat. I know a lot of reboots are terribly, but I was a huge fan of late 70s, early 80s sci-fi, and some have gotten the reboot treatment, like Battlestar Galactica or Bionic Woman, and of course Doctor Who. If you're familiar with this era of sci-fi television, which shows do you think had an interesting enough premise to be redone, and what do you think are the keys to making a successful return to a show or theme? Well, I mean, like, I could do a whole thing on what I think makes for a successful revisiting, reboot, remake, whatever. But like, with that era specifically, that's not really my bag. 70s to 80s TV sci-fi specifically. And most of the stuff that I would think would be good to try and revisit has been revisited. Maybe not has always worked, but like it would have been stuff like Battlestar Galactica, I mean, I suppose they could take a crack at Max Headroom. I would want them to have Matt Frewer involved somehow. I think off the top of my head, Quantum Leap makes the most sense as a concept to try giving the update to. Space 1999 could get a reboot and a retitle. I hung out with a gay guy from middle school and found out he was racist during our date. Super fun. Oh, dang. That's one of those things that can really bum you out, is to either reconnect or even just find somebody on social media like, oh, I remember them, and then like you look through their feed a little bit and you're like, oh, well, crap. I would imagine, like, if you're with them in person and that sinks in, it's even worse. Big fan from Cuba. Thanks for the LGBT videos. I'm bisexual myself. They're very good. Help. Awesome. Thank you. Like I said, bisexuality representation video coming on Friday. It's not going to be as structured as the ones I do myself, because this is one of the ones where I bring on a guest who identifies as the specific part of LGBTQ plus that I'm talking about, and we just have a conversation about the representation there is, what's problematic, what's good, and things like that. And I know I've been promising this one for a while, so I'll be glad to finally get it out there. Quantum Leap, maybe Hercules. I remember this episode with Cupid. I just watched for that. Oh, I keep forgetting about Legends of Hercules. Weren't they doing a Xena reboot? Whatever happened to that? Did that fall apart? I can't remember. You'll be happy to let the video out of the closet. Let it be free and fabulous. It got scrapped. Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Carolyn. Yeah, I'm not shocked. I remember there being a big sort of why is everything getting a revival, but you're rebooting Xena, especially when Lucy Lawless, and forgive me, I forget the name of the woman who plays Gabrielle, like still can definitely play these parts. Like, look at Lucy Lawless; she's absolutely still up for this. I remember that being a deal. So I had honestly forgotten that was a thing. It makes sense that it fell apart though, given the reaction. I'm feeling attacked. I love the Choose Your Own Adventure books as a kid. I remember reading a couple of those. It's funny. The very first one I ever read, which was like a simplified like grade school one, because like you got ones that were like thicker and like more involved and more gruesome in the deaths. But when I was in grade school, you had ones that were thinner, and you know, there were some that would still kill you, but like in very ambiguous ways, you know, falling in a pit, you know, things like that. Not particularly detailed. But I do remember the first one I ever read, first time reading it, I got a happy ending. Like first try. And I remember thinking, oh, okay. And I think it actually left less of an impression on me because I didn't hit a bad ending on my first go. Lucy Lawless looks amazing. Yeah, she does. And she's just kind of awesome, like as a person. Are we talking about Pick a Path books here? I mean, I guess that's another way to put it. Have you watched Sex Education on Netflix? I have not. Lucy Flawless. Yeah, that works. Lucy Lawless was the actress who played Xena, Warrior Princess. It's what she's best known for. She was also in the first season of Spartacus on Starz. I heard something about Xena, but no, I found out last year. Nope, sorry, I'm catching conversations that are going on in the chat, trying to figure out what's actually directed at me. I had Zelda Choose Your Own Adventure books. They were a little disappointing because all you had to do to get a good ending was not act like an idiot. Yeah, sounds about right. You know what's funny about the Choose Your Own Adventure? The company that makes those is based out of Vermont. The only reason I know that was it got mentioned offhandedly in an article talking about the fact that they're trying to sue Netflix over the Bandersnatch thing. Animorph books. I was a little too old for Animorphs when that came out. Or at least my reading level was a little too high. Like, I think there are some people my age who got into it, but I feel like it was mostly people 2-3 years younger than me who got into those. Is it weird that I'm toying with the idea of playing Annabelle in... I'm not going to do the French pronunciation, but the stage version of the Birdcage, even though I have no experience doing drag. No. I don't think so. I mean, for something like that, where it's in a play and you're playing a character, it's an acting challenge, and like it, I would expect if you were to play that part that you would do research and you would do training, you would practice walking in heels, and you'd learn how to keep a wig on your head and things like that as part of the preparation for the role. I don't actually even think it's that weird. What would be weird is if you were cast and not required to do any kind of prep. That would be weird. I wasn't a big reader growing up. Now I love reading. I'm actually kind of the reverse. Well, not entirely. Not like to say that. Like, I don't like reading, but like, I almost never have time for reading anymore. I used to read a lot, but not so much these days. Your morning video was like a cup of coffee. Yeah, Tuesday videos aren't very much of a thing anymore, but like I wanted to get the Lion King thing out, you know, fairly soon after I'd seen it, you know, while it would still be topical. But I had to get the San Diego Comic-Con one out first because that was gonna date even worse. and I didn't want to shift other stuff around or put it way later in the schedule. So I just said, heck with it. I'll do a Tuesday video. Haven't done one in a while, so there you go. Do you read audiobooks? No, I do listen to audiobooks though. Sorry, I'm being a pedantic jackass. Yeah, on occasion. It sort of depends on what the book is, because depending on the nature of the narrative, I may not really be able to do anything more involved than driving. And I know that makes it sound like distracted driving, but like, I've been driving for so long, it doesn't require a lot of my active attention unless I'm dealing with stuff like stoplights or weird traffic. And I'm on the highway for a lot of my driving for most of the long stretches I have to do. But like, it's hard for me to listen to an audiobook like, say when I'm at work or while I'm editing, because like my brain is actively engaged in doing something other than listening. Is it weird that the live action Little Mermaid has a black Ariel and white Triton? No. Why would that be weird? Like, multiracial families are a thing. Like, we know that, right? And not like a weird, strange oddity. That's just like a thing that happens. Are there any straight characters in movie or TV that are gender non-conforming? Because whenever I see a feminine guy in a movie, they are always gay. Is this damaging? Well, whether or not it's damaging is hard to say. You're sort of getting into queer coding a bit, gay male coding specifically. And like, I have started working on a script for an eventual video, because gay coding is absolutely on the docket for me to deal with eventually. The thing is, at this point, that, and forgive me, but that persona of just being fabulous and oh darling is just so ingrained in the popular culture as being gay that the audience wouldn't believe you if you had a character behaving like that who was not gay. And to a certain degree, there is even some validity in that, because that whole fabulousness is an affectation. It's one that people choose, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but that's not a natural accent. There isn't a gay accent. There is a choice to speak in that manner. And so the whole thing is very weird kind of in the first place. But in general, if you were to go on the more toned down end of that, where maybe you just had a male character dress not excessively masculinely, maybe just have nail polish and leave it at that and have them play it straight, I'd like to see that kind of thing happen. But when you get into more effeminate modes of speech and mannerisms and hand gestures and things like that, just the audience won't believe you that they're not gay, because it's just so ingrained. Somebody asked, what is gay coding? Okay, quickly as I can. Coding in general is, they are traits given to a character, things like manners of speaking, ways of behaving, body language, things, etc., that relay certain things about the character and generally are shortcuts so that the audience will make presumptions about that character. So, again, strictly speaking, there's no biological reason why a gay man acts like this, but it's been coded in entertainment that is how gay characters act. So when you have a character act like that, that immediately reads to an audience as gay, because that is what has been coded through the stories and the entertainment that we have. Coding does not always have to be intentional. Oftentimes it's accidental. There's a lot of coding that is like comes back from generations previously, and it gets recycled, and we don't always know where it comes from. Lindsay Ellis brought that up when she did her video on Bright, the Netflix movie, talking about racial coding with certain fantasy races. And which is usually something that when it comes up now in modern day fantasy is something the creators don't realize because it's ingrained from the fantasy tropes established decades ago. So coding's a weird thing to try and dig into. How you doing? What's the topic we're talking about? I don't know, dude. We're all over the place tonight. Like this has been a roller coaster. Disney villains gay code. Yes, Disney has a lot of gay-coded villains. They by no means have a monopoly on that. There are lots of gay-coded villains all over entertainment. Disney animated films have a lot, though. So many trailers dropped this week. Yeah, but a lot of them I didn't care about. Like It Chapter 2. I'm sorry, I don't care. See, I think coding can help with trying to get under the radar with new shows like Steven Universe did at the beginning with racial coding of Amethyst and Garnet. Yet, like, the other thing worth noting about coding is not automatically bad. Coding is just a thing that happens. Its presence doesn't make anything bad or good. And honestly, it's one of those things that, like, it's going to happen whether you mean it to or not. So saying that something is gay-coded or racially coded or whatever does not automatically mean that that is a bad thing. But it is a reality of what happens. And it can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. It's completely situational. Hey, is an actual drag queen gonna play Ursula? That'd be fabulous. Like, part of me would get a kick out of that, and part of me would be like, I don't know. How about chocolate coated? Well, my beverage is chocolate coated. Jodie Tennant and Jenna Coleman are doing a Children in Need album, which makes me so happy and proud, but sadly some people said it was a publicity stunt enough to recover from Series 11. Oh, for God's sake. Okay. I'll go back to what I said when I did my video on representation for the quote-unquote wrong reasons. Even if it is a publicity stunt, it's for charity. It's for a good cause regardless. So, shut up. Like, in my mind, the only reason to call that out is if Kevin Spacey tried to do a Children in Need special, let's call that out, because that is in it for a PR boost. These people don't need a PR boost. They're fine. So, like, even if you think it is to mend, some kind of image, which, again, doesn't make any sense. Because Doctor Who, even if you think Series 11 was a total failure, that would be an artistic failure. Because people will still argue the ratings thing. I'm not going to get into that. But even if you call it a artistic or even a ratings failure, it's not a public relations failure. So doing something for a PR stunt, PR boost, makes no sense, because the problems that these people are claiming the show has wouldn't be fixed by a PR boost. Like, protect characters from J.K. Rowling. She's trying to diversify her universe of mainly straight white people by using crappy stereotypes and unknown characters. I'm not touching J.K. Rowling today. I'm just not up for it. Have you seen the Picard trailer? I did. I mentioned it earlier. Like, it looks fine. Yeah, Doctor Who has always done something for children in need. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, it's actually traditional for the show at this point. Take a sip for the Picard trailer. Yeah, it was a question already asked, so everybody drink. Pardon me, I'm jumping back to the Discord. See what else I had gotten over there. Thoughts on Jessica Jones Season 3. I still haven't done more than the first episode. I've started working my way through Legends of Tomorrow first because I was in the mood for fun. I think Stranger Things Season 3 kind of put me in a mood for wanting fun and Legends of Tomorrow's fun. So there you go. Any thoughts on why some properties just keep getting remade? For instance, Twilight Zone is in its fourth iteration. Fourth attempt at the Monsters is in the works. Lost track of Addams Family reboots, etc. Yeah, because in the world of big budget entertainment, because even quote unquote low budget TVs and movies, you're still talking millions of dollars. Recycling a name or a concept that has worked at a point in the past, that's considered a form of risk avoidance. So this is why we're kind of in an interesting period, because the things getting rebooted or remade, that's not new. Like, things were getting I know it feels like we're getting a lot more of it now, but things were getting remade in the 90s, they were getting remade in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, heck, the 40s. The Maltese Falcon, the version with Humphrey Bogart, that's a remake. That's the second adaptation of that book. But the thing is, we're in a weird place right now where before we just had a reboot cycle where things would come back around. But it's kind of expanded out, firstly because we had enough successful relaunches of stuff that would have been considered sacred. Like, the idea of quote-unquote remaking Planet of the Apes was kind of religious until they did it. Well, Tim Burton did it and it sucked. And then they did it again and it was good. So, like, this a whole sort of sacred calves, you can't remake that. It feels like we don't actually have many of those left. That's the first thing. And the other thing is, like, we're going to keep cycling through these because it's just considered a safer bet. And the reason we get a lot of them, we seem to be getting them at an increasing rate, is because at this point, most of the studios want to release blockbusters. Most of the major studios have moved away from the mid-tier budget movie. And if you want a film that is going to rake in hundreds of millions of dollars, like $500 million minimum worldwide, then you need to launch it. Then you're going to have to spend a lot of money to be able to do that. And part of mitigating the risk is to attach a name that people already know. So that's why, as we exist currently in an age of massive blockbusters, and a lot of them, why more and more and more and more these things get brought back. But why I said why we're kind of in an interesting time is we're also right now in a time where franchises don't go dormant in the first place anymore. Because you mentioned something like the Addams Family, which has been, rebooted several times. But you look at stuff that has just flat out started up more recently. Like, I like to use the examples of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's never gone away. It's been technically rebooted several times, but it's never gone dormant. And we're in a weird... And Pokemon has never gone away. And we're in a weird place where franchises don't actually go quiet anymore. They just sustain forever. And so we're actually kind of hitting a point where a lot of the stuff that has been made from 90s forward doesn't even really get rebooted because it never left. I feel like we're in a strange transitional phase in a lot of ways. It wasn't so much why remakes, why these specifically. I don't know. I think a lot of the time isn't a lot of thought that goes into why they choose what they choose. It depends on who gets attached to it. Because sometimes you get somebody with vision who goes, ooh, I have a good idea for that specifically. And, things like the Twilight Zone lend themselves to a lot of very creative storytelling. And I think other times you get a studio going, we're sitting on this IP, who wants it? And they'll just give it to whoever they can. So I'm not actually sure that enough thought goes into it that I can break down why some of these things specifically. If you're asking me to say, why are these still appealing? Well, because they're good ideas. Why do they keep getting rebooted? Because somebody thinks it'll help make money. Power Rangers has never stopped one continuous continuity. Yep, no, that's true. That was another thing I was slightly too old for. They're systematically releasing Hogwarts house-themed Harry Potter books to coincide with the 20th anniversary release of each book. Would you want a Slytherin Harry Potter themed set? If probably not, because like I already own every book, and I own every book in hardcover, and I'm not enough of a collector to be like, oh, now I need this edition of the exact same thing I already have. No, I'm not that person. As much as I enjoy Slytherin merch, I don't need literally the exact books that I already own in hardcover. Again, just with Slytherin stuff on them. Besides, that would actually feel really weird, knowing how badly Slytherin as a house is treated in the books. It would feel odd, in a way. Choosing the Hufflepuff paperbacks. I can speak. Too old for Power Rangers. I assumed you were about 20. You liar. You did not assume that. Flattered, but no, you didn't. Natalie Portman as Thor. What? Well, I mean, having actually read at least some of the Thor Goddess of Thunder stuff, it's actually pretty good. Let me get back to the Discord. Give me a second. Where was I? All right, so I've got kind of a longish one here, so bear with me, folks. I got to try and get through some of these. All right, so this is someone who is elaborating on something that they actually got said last week about the fact they said true rock died in the 90s. I still feel we have real rock bands nowadays, but most, if not all, are either doing songs about our not very famous or are rock bands that do this new rap rock that has been popular. Is rap rock still popular? I feel like that was on its way out. My last favorite band was No Doubt. Not a fan personally. They were a band. They go in to say who No Doubt was. I know who No Doubt was. I'm not. Sure, there are those pop rock bands too, but I feel those true rock bands where guitars would be played with solos and guitar players are known for their own type of thing has for the most part died out. I think part of this is because the popularity of rap, R&B, and pop, which is the new center for most popular radio stations. Okay, so it's what it sounds like you're going with, and I'll kind of agree with, is that rock as the predominant form of popular music has died. Yes. There are still rock bands out there, but you're kind of right. They don't get the primary radio play. It's a bit more of a niche thing at this point. The more traditional, master guitarists kind of style rock. But it's still around, definitely. Let me pop on back here. Is it just me, or does every gay character and everything have to have a big reveal? It does seem like that happens a lot. Iron Maiden is the best rock band. Changed my mind. I thought they were considered heavy metal. Which, I mean, I suppose is a form of rock. I'm just saying. Do you listen to Time Lord rock? I don't know if that's actually a thing. If it is, I guess no. There's a good YouTube video on the death of rock by David Bennett Piano. There's also a good song by Miracle of Sound called The Death of Rock and Roll. So go ahead and check that out. It's a rock song. Hint. Rock of the Dollar. Favorite rock band is Panic at the Disco. Would they be considered rock? I mean, I think that's part of the other thing. I feel like we've subdivided musical genres so much, and like everything is in a very specific niche. I don't actually know what's considered rock out of current bands. Like, I hate to say it, but like, I know Nickelback would be considered pop rock, but a form of rock. And that's not me endorsing the band. I'm just saying, like, I can identify that. Time Lord rock is a thing, though I think they call it rock. Some of it's pretty good. I'm fond of an awful lot of running in Last Type 40. Okay, I'm curious. Are you excited for the new Star Wars TV show, The Mandalorian? I keep forgetting it's a thing that's gonna happen. So I guess not. Like, maybe when I get a proper trailer, I'll start to be. But like right now, like it's a concept. I very rarely get super excited for concepts because I know so much is always going to be dependent on execution. So until I start getting a taste of execution, which, unless I'm super familiar with the director and have a ton of faith in them, like I would with someone like, say, Guillermo del Toro or Christopher Nolan, someone who I know that I can trust their work, then it usually isn't until a trailer that I'm going to get anything close to excited, because it's always execution dependent. And I don't get pumped for concepts anymore. Panic was originally alternative rock, but it slowly turned more popish. Have you watched Years and Years? Nope. I don't have HBO anymore, which is how it aired in the US. Plus, I've heard it's very good, but very depressing. Not really looking to be depressed these days. Let's see. The Lion King pitch meeting by Ryan George. I actually haven't seen that one. I have started watching Ryan George's stuff, but I haven't been binging through it. Like 1 or 2 a day, I'll do his stuff. If you haven't checked out his stuff, it's very funny. It's very punchy. It's very clever. So when some of his skits run into the 3-minute plus, I think sometimes they get iffy. But especially anything that's on the shorter side of him, it's quite clever, and he does very, very rapid fire comedy in the way he cuts together his little sketches and his videos. So yeah, no, I like his stuff, but I haven't seen that one specifically. Why do people still insist on screwing food service workers? Lingering sense of superiority. Because the thing is, for a very long time, jobs like restaurant worker or basic retail jobs, they were the jobs that people who couldn't afford or couldn't get into college had. And so anyone who had a college degree would look down on them. They were thought of as the jobs of the uneducated. And I think in a lot of ways they still are. And there might even be a certain degree of truth to that, but there has traditionally been a sense of elitism and superiority associated with that. It's a service job. You are here to service me. That makes me superior to you because you serve me. And part of it's just in the nature of the job. That's screwed up. It's not right. But again, I think there's a lot of baggage built in with that kind of occupation. Well, thank you, Meg. I've been quite generous this time around. At least we got some rock bands still touring. I saw Queen 2 weeks ago with Adam Lambert. I'm not a huge fan of him either. That show slapped. I cried 3 times and lost my voice. Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you had a good time with that. Would you prefer Howard Shore, John Powell, or Hans Zimmer for your personal life score? John Powell, please. Retail workers are probably more essential than most white-collar jobs, ironically. Well, yeah. See, the thing is, the lowest paid and most underregarded jobs, they are foundational. And entire businesses and indeed entire societies are built on top of them. And you need this to build anything else above that. But this is treated like crap because there's more of them. So they're considered disposable, not important. There's only one CEO at the head of the company. They must be super special. Blasphemy, we only talk about Queen when Freddie is the lead. Ooh, boy. That's gonna spark a war. I feel like you should not be treating food service workers badly because they control the food coming to your table. I mean, that's the logical thing. Aside from just the, be a nice person, they handle your food. that seems like a bad idea to tick them off. Can we tell that I get quite heated over retail workers who get treated like crap? As well you should. Because nobody deserves to be treated like garbage. I mean, I can say nobody. Some people have actually actively earned it. But people simply doing a job that is, especially if it's one where they're working for somebody else, like they probably didn't choose this job, it's just how they're paying their bills. And you know, like people get crapped on for just being the person who picked up the phone sometimes. Do you watch American Horror Story? I'm like 3 or 4 seasons behind at this point, so not currently. Cher still does an amazing show. I don't doubt it. Like, she's one of those consummate performers. I think I'm going to wrap it up soon. I'm going to pop on back to the Discord real quick. Got an off-topic query. If there is a topic, no, there isn't. I was wondering how frequently you enjoy playing around with headcanon characters as gender and sexual minorities that might not be canon. When I do it, it's not something I do consciously. It's not something that I like think down. Sit down and think, ooh, what people might be something other than straight that I could, you know, imagine and maybe justify. It's not something I do actively, but it is something I do to a certain degree. But I think like it just kind of happens on its own. So, I mean, I guess I could say I enjoy it because I kind of do it, but like again, it's not like a project. It's just something that happens. Oh, geez. Would you rather see Tarantino making Kill Bill Volume 3 or directing a Star Trek movie as his last project? This whole Tarantino directed Star Trek thing is so weird to me. I don't even know what to make of it. And the notion of a Kill Bill Volume 3 depends on the concept, depends on the story. So last one I'm going to do off the Discord. What are your thoughts on the Mulan trailer? I liked it. I thought it looked good. The reaction has been stupid, but I thought it actually looked quite good. Yeah, I think I am gonna wrap it up, folks. So no live stream next week. I will be on vacation, but I hope everyone has a good rest of the month, I guess, because I won't see you again till August. Not live, anyways. Videos are still supposed to go up on their normal days while I'm on vacation. They'll be pre-scheduled, but yeah, that'll be it for me for this time. This was fun to do live. Finally rushed home for it. Well, I'm glad you made it. Don't be arrested. Listen, it's a family vacation. All right, I'm not planning to have crazy wild nights on this one. All right, but hope everyone has a good rest of the month. Thank you for tuning in, your support, your comments, everything you do. So, just remember, folks, you're beautiful, you're valid, you are loved, you are the council. I'm just running meetings. See ya.